Welcome to the McKinnon Legal Podcast, your guide to brighter paths beyond challenging marriages. Here's your host, Christina McKinnon.
Hello, and welcome everyone to episode numero uno, episode number 1 of the McKinnon Legal Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Wolf, and I'm joined by none other than your host. We have Christina McKinnon. Christina, always a pleasure. How you been?
Yes, I've been great, fantastic. I'm glad it's Friday. Starting up for a trial season before the holidays get here, but it's always good. So it's what we do. It's what people retain us for, is to have their children during the holidays, and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to be there to help.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to get started on this journey, on this, the very first episode of your very own podcast show. So why don't we start off with some basics here, and for our listeners, maybe share with them a little bit about McKinnon Legal, the types of services you offer, and then we'll kind of get into the backstory of how you came to be in the first place.
Okay, we have a full service family law firm. We've been in existence almost 2 decades now, 19 years in existence. I've been practicing for about 20 years, but we have attorneys at our office with over 50 years experience. We do the whole gamut of family law, from modifications to child support, custody, divorce, collaborative divorce. We do agreements, whether it's a marital settlement agreement, a prenuptial agreement, a post-judgment, or a post-nuptial agreement. And we do contempt. We already said modifications, but that could be if there is a substantial change in circumstance since the final judgment. We can certainly go in and get you some relief as to child support, alimony, or a time-sharing plan that meets your current needs. So, you name it, we do it if it falls under family law. We understand that there are a lot of families that are hurting. It's our desire to bring some peace to the family. It's your most important family, unit, so that we want to make sure that people are living their best lives and have peace.
Now, you also handle a small area of your practice is also personal injury law as well, no?
Yes, very small.
So how did you get started? I know because from previous conversations we've had, I know that this journey in law has deep roots in your childhood. Can you talk a little bit about that journey and progression as to how you landed up where you are today?
Yeah, actually I spoke with a group of kids, elementary school kids. They weren't as young as I was when I made my decision to become a lawyer, but
right, when you were 3 years old, right?
No. I was in the second grade, so I was 7. But I spoke with 4th graders this year, and you know what? I was shocked and amazed. I had lawyers. I had one judge in the 4th grade that she knew she wanted to be. I'm going to be a congressman. Oh, I'm going to be a senator. So hey, I think we're still around. Those star children are still around.
So going back, 2nd grade for you,
Mm-hmm.
you had this realization that this was the path that you wanted to take. So talk about that a little. Back when you were in 2nd grade, what happened?
Well, I have siblings, have a distinct pleasure of having much older brothers, and they were starting college around the time that I can remember. So I guess around when I was 3. So by the time they got out, both of them were political science majors, and that's just what the conversation was around the dinner table, or in our house. So I was participating in all the conversations, didn't really know much of or anything, but they certainly educated me and challenged me. And I made a decision that, hey, I'm going to be a lawyer. Not sure if both of my brothers wanted to be lawyers at that time, but they were political science majors. I majored in political science, and I took it a step further and went to law school. So, just at that age, making that decision and being excited about it. By the time I got to middle school, being captain of the debate team, captain of the chess club, all of those things I thought would give me the skills to be a great lawyer. And I didn't deviate from it, but that's sort of who I am anyway. I make a decision and it's good as done.
So fast forward, you went to college, you went to law school. I think we just touched upon this. You went to undergrad at FSU, right?
Yes, yes. Go
I won't hold
Noles.
that against you being a Gator.
Go Noles.
So you went to law school and then you graduated. Did you start off in family law or did you start off in PI, personal injury law? Where did you start from there?
No, I
Or none of
doing labor and employment law. I took a job, and I mean, I was making a great salary for all I knew back then. It's the most money I'd ever made, and I actually settled pre-suit cases in personal injury, car accidents, some slip and falls here, maybe a negligent security case there. And I was just settling the cases before they had to be filed, before the statute of limitations ran. Because if I had to file the case and I had to refer it out because I had a job with somebody else, and lo and behold, within a year and a half, I was matching my salary. So what did I do? I told my employer goodbye. Like, like I can do this on my own, and I never looked back. Thank God it has been the most rewarding experience. I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer, but I didn't know I wanted to be a business owner. That I was going to be a business owner. And I've had colleagues and friends that have, started out with me, 19 years ago. And when times got hard in those initial phases, they went and got a job or stopped. I just never stopped. Things certainly got much, much better. We have 10 employees now. We're bringing on a second associate attorney on November 20th. So, we can divide the case and load up a little bit. I can be a little less stressed, but I love what I do. And, I have a business that is beyond my wildest dreams.
Do you find that for the, I guess, family law cases, specifically like divorce cases, are you doing an equal blend of actual trial litigation versus outside settlements? Or what's the ratio of when you actually go to a trial versus when you settle things prior to that?
Right. The goal of every case is settlement.
Settle before,
So,
yeah, right.
so don't get me wrong. I mean, I love being in trial. It's my time to, bring a little bit of my passion to the forefront, and I love persuading the judges. However, if we can save the client some money, we certainly want to resolve all of the issues. But sometimes that just can't happen. And there was one judge, she's retired now. She would always say that the clients have to love their kids more than they hate each other, right? And sometimes the hate just goes to the final judgment. We're going to try and they're going to hate each other until they see, this is what my lawyer had been telling me all along. The judge is going to do what's fair. They're going to do what's equitable, and they're going to do what's in the best interest of the children. So I would say 70% of my cases settle, and it's those 30%. Usually, towards the end of the year, we're getting towards the holidays, and someone's restricting access to the kids, for Christmas. And we know that we need to have a hearing, some sort of evidentiary hearing. In this case, I have a few trials set up before the end of the year. So I did 3 of them so far since November 1st. Actually, I'm in my 3rd trial on Monday since November 1st. And then I have 6 more to go before the end of the year.
Busy. I mean,
I love being busy.
It's so unfortunate that these, situations can get as contentious as they do. Obviously, emotions run hot, but when you have kids in the mix, gosh, it's so important for parents to have a little bit of empathy, have a little bit of understanding, and try to resolve things amicably. If not for them, for the kids. So, yeah.
And I told you I spoke at an elementary school earlier this week, and the kids, of course, are geared towards, are you a prosecutor or you're a defense lawyer, of course, from television. But some of them are like, I know what you do because I have 2 houses and we have 2 Christmases and I have 2 birthdays, So they have gone through divorce. They've gone through their parents splitting up. Or my daddy pays me child support. No, he doesn't pay you child support. But, the conversation was very interesting. And, I don't get into the specifics of their particular cases, but they were very interested in what I was saying, trying to understand it better. And, we really got to think about the children and how they're going to be affected. Children are very resilient. But if I could tell you how many of my cases where the children have a therapist, a guardian ad litem, reunification therapy, some sort of counselor to prevent alienation. It's very damaging. The more people that you have in their lives talking about, how they can get better, the more the child can be injured. So we want to limit it to it's just mommy and daddy, and everybody can live in harmony in a family. But we are bringing in a lot of vendors to these children, and they're having to relive and retell traumatic situations. I don't think it's, certainly something that's beneficial for them. What I would like to impart to the listeners is, if you can get a good lawyer, any lawyer that has been practicing for a sufficient amount of time, that's worth their, weight in salt, and they are convincing you or pushing forward settlement, listen to them, right? It's for your children. It's not about the money. You can always make more money. All right. You can always buy another house. Those are material things. Those are things that aren't really important, but your children and their mental health, how they'll progress in life, and this will stick with them for the rest of their lives. I did a podcast in the past, and the person who was the presenter said he was 45 years old and his parents' divorce when he was 7 still affects him to that day.
Oh,
So it'll stay with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, no, these experiences when you're a child, you carry trauma around those experiences for your entire life. And it gets buried so deep that the older you get, the harder it is to access it and address it. And it's so important to kind of work through it while it's fresh on the mind, for sure.
Absolutely.
So, and unfortunately, as I learned when we did our first podcast together, that this is becoming more and more common. I mean, didn't you say something like over 50% of marriages nowadays end in divorce?
Yeah, it's close to 50%.
It's crazy. I don't think people realize how common it is. And definitely very, very interesting. So, Christina, what's your motivation behind doing a podcast? Because I know you're super busy, obviously, as you said. Why are we here? Why are we doing this? What are your goals? What are your aspirations with this platform?
You know what? My goal as a family law practitioner is to educate, whether it's my client or just the general population. We want to educate. Everybody has a family, whether they're married or not. They may have kids as well. So they certainly need the information going forward. They need to know how to be a better co-parent. We put out a series of newsletters, information on social media. This is just another medium for us to get accurate information that I'm passionate about, that I'm very successful with, that has provided a good medium for a lot of families to move on in peace over the last 2 decades. So that's why we're here today. That's why, I decided to use this medium as a way to get the information out.
Wonderful. And I'm excited to be on this journey with you, certainly to learn all about what you have to offer and share with our great community. So, Christina, always a pleasure. Looking forward to getting together again for the next episode. You have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the game.
All righty. Thank you, Jeremy, for having me. Always. It's a pleasure. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. And we will look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the McKinnon Legal Podcast. Everyone take care.
Thank you for joining us on the McKinnon Legal Podcast. Remember, there's always a path to a brighter, happier future. Stay tuned for more positive insights on troubled relationships and legal solutions. For more information, visit McKinnonLegal.com. That's McKinnon legal.com, or call 877-920-1614.